Here we go.
Welcome to another episode of the Cumberland Thunder podcast. Coming at you recorded. But it's been a little while. Been a little while since we've had an episode of this, so I'm excited to get into it. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We were actually discussing some things tonight, some events that we have coming up, and making some plans there as far as music and what we're playing, and we've been practicing, and yeah, excited about what's to come in 2022. As always, keep a watch on our website, cumberlandthunder.com. You can find all the dates that we're going to be somewhere near you. And be sure to like, subscribe, all of that stuff here on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Seth's keeping the TikTok alive, keeping the TikTok going. So if you are
just posted one yesterday as of the recording of this podcast.
So if you're one of those that, you know it's time for bed, but then you're sitting there going,
or you exhale out your nose slightly.
yeah. Then give Cumberland Thunder a follow there on the old TikTok. You might find something you like.
All the various
I try to keep up
socials.
with all the trends.
Yeah.
Sometimes I fall a little behind, but
For the youngsters.
for the youngsters.
For the youngsters. Reminds me of the
For the
conversation
kids.
we had on here with you. We actually had it both with you and with Abby separately about all of the phrases and things that the kidology that we do not understand.
Mm-hmm.
I still like to think of myself as someone who's hip with it. But
Which, after that, the
Uh-oh.
podcast went live, I figured out that, turns out, my wife, Kayla, and her family knew what Larapin was, and I had no idea.
What?
So,
Larapin for
kudos
the
to
win.
them.
In the know. It's
Yeah.
good.
And I think I don't know if my parents knew, I can't remember, but I was oblivious, and they're like, oh yeah, it means it's really good. And I was like, well,
All
Awesome.
right.
Spreading the good word.
'cause I think I don't know if it was Kayla's grannies that used it all the time or something, so she grew up with it.
Okay.
It's like, good for you.
Cool. Cool.
Keeping it going. I want to know if anybody out there has used just waiting on butter to soften yet.
Ooh.
My dad has. And here we go. Dad is
Once
brought
again,
up.
shout out to Wayne. Which, not the first time we've talked about him tonight, even.
No.
off the podcast before recording. We had a nice long Wayne conversation.
We did.
All about Seth's dad. We're going to have to get him on here.
We love
He
Wayne.
wants to. He really
Yeah.
wants to.
We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Do we want to talk about the album of the week?
Sure.
We pulled this from Carey's collection. Drink it in.
Ta-da.
Big and Live. Kingsman Quartet in Gadsden, Alabama, I believe.
I think so.
I told Josh and Seth off camera before we started recording, obviously, that I believe that this is what made the Kingsman the Kingsman. Now, they had very successful, in my opinion, formative years before that with tenor Jerry Red, I believe was his name, and McKinney Brothers and all that. Not necessarily all together. Eldridge
Right.
Fox was there for quite some time, but that album, I think it really set them off and put them on the map. And if you haven't heard it, it's on YouTube, and I recommend it after watching the podcast, obviously. But yeah, it's a high energy album.
Yes, it is.
It's everything that you love about live albums in this album. Screaming tenor and really crisp bass tones.
Well, and you know what? It's a Southern. Okay, what year?
1973.
Yeah. And I just like to make a note.
I didn't have that memorized, by the way.
Even there on the front cover, if you can see, maybe there's drums
Yeah.
on the stage.
Yep.
Right there. It's a drum set. He's playing drums, real drums, live drums,
Real
acoustic
ones.
drums.
Mm-hmm.
Real McCoy. I think Nick Bruno is on this album.
Oh yeah,
as
playing
the piano player.
Yeah, nice guy.
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, Nick, that you don't watch this, but
If you do, hi, you're a
Yes.
nice guy.
we love you.
Nick,
We met with him one
we
time.
did, and you know what? The one thing that I took away from that meeting with Nick Bruno was this: we sat down, and I think he asked us to sing something for him, and we did. And but the thing that really I felt good about after leaving was he goes, Cumberland Thunder. That's a very or no, before that he goes, let's talk about the name.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, here it is. We're going to change the name. The name's got to change.
Yeah, here we
it's
go.
a terrible name.
That's
It's
it.
bad. It's,
Yeah. I was braced up.
Yeah. He goes, let's talk about the name. And I was like, okay. And he goes, Cumberland Thunder. And I'm still bracing myself. And he goes, you know, the thing about names is, really doesn't matter what your name is. As long as you sound good, people will think your name is good. I was like, okay, I'll take it.
I was like, it wasn't an endorsement, but it wasn't completely dismissed. So
No,
You'll take it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
because he's a
doesn't.
legend.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Something to that effect. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the name is. If you sound good, people will think that the name is good.
I'd love to meet with him again.
The other thing he said was something that I thought of the other day. He said, practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Basically, if you practice something incorrectly, you'll always do it incorrectly. So you can't perfect something until you know how to practice perfectly. That was... We could dig several layers deep on that one, but
Yeah. It's all the things that you don't hear on a Cumberland Thunder album. Oof. Hey, I mean, it's just we're real here, man. We're real.
real. We're big and live.
We're big,
Big.
full circle. Big and live.
Also, I'd like to note on the cover, and as he was known to do in many cases, everyone has a nice matching jacket, and Jim Hamill has taken his off.
Yes, probably slung somewhere on the stage.
Yeah.
I don't see it anywhere on the cover.
Yeah.
So, but great live band that they had for many, many years. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many good things. And the funny thing is, this isn't even their best one, but it's good. It's really good.
It's a definitive one.
Yeah. It's definitely on the greatest hits.
Yeah.
It's made, I know for sure Love Will Roll the Clouds Away has made it on like a Kingsman greatest hits, and that's on there in the last.
I had a Kingsman Greatest Hits CD that I wore out for a while. So,
I did too.
Uh,
And Glory Road's on that.
Yeah.
That's the first time it was,
it's
I believe, I mean, obviously somebody
it's definitely
can fact check me.
it's the reason that we do it. Not we don't do it as a group, but like in the world of gospel music, it's the reason that song gets done in the style and arrangement that it gets done is because of them.
And he introduces that song saying, he basically says it's a new song, but he believes that it's going to like live and like take legs. He had to have had no clue. Just
Because you say that about every new song that comes along,
Sure.
right? If
that's what you want it to be.
It's your new baby.
yeah, exactly.
It was in a big way. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody and their brother's done that song. So, but yeah.
But did they have a perfect practice?
Is
there really such a thing, though?
Listening to the album, I would say probably not.
I was like, is there really such a thing as a perfect
It's a perfect
practice? Because
practice.
that's a very high bar.
It is a high bar. Someone else said, practice it so much that you don't practice it until you get it right. Practice it until you can't get it wrong. And I was like, my goodness. I mean, I get it.
I've heard of my band director back in high school said practice makes permanent. Which I find that to be more of a, I don't know, realistic approach.
Well, I think the whole idea behind it, and definitely behind that, practice makes permanent, is however you practice it is how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever you learn will stay learned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are some things that I do that probably aren't technically correct, but, you know, I'd probably, if somebody pointed it out, I was like, yeah, I'd love to do it a different way, or if they're, I don't know if easier is the best word, but more either dynamic or correctly, then I'd love to. But as of right now,
Well, I mean, even practicing your way is different from my way. My way is different from your way.
yeah.
So we're all built different in our own perfect practice, as you say, is a different level of perfection.
That's why I don't know that I like the phrase that people use a lot these days, built different. Like they'll just say like just that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, everyone is.
Yeah.
We are. Literally all unique.
It's like more of an excuse at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm built different. Who cares?
I'm built different.
It's like figure out why you're built different and go with it in a way.
Speaking of being different, your shirt today says...
Shirt that says, I am a music teacher. It's like a regular teacher, but way cooler, dude. It doesn't say dude.
Seth added in the dude.
No. I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
I noticed that when you came in today.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a nice... my shirt collection, if you can call it that, the clothes in my closet.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few, as far as casual wear, that I'm proud of. Now, you are someone who is really good at the turn of phrase or pun shirt, or like clever, witty, pithy.
What was that?
Pithy.
Pithy?
Yeah. It's if it's well, I'll Google it.
It's worth
I'll
a
find
Google.
I'll find you the
Okay.
definition. But that's one of
Yeah.
those. I know you have the one. You have the Dadalorian shirt.
The Dadalorian. That's one of my favorites.
That's pretty cool. What's the one that has the music notes? I mean, I know that has, but there's one that has.
It
spells
says
something out.
best. It says best dad ever, but the dad is music notes. DAD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have two of those. But I
Always
used
good to have spare sometimes.
But nowadays, like, is at that point, my friends and family know I like those shirts, so they end up coming to me.
Yeah.
But one of my all-time favorites. I don't remember when I got it or who even got it for me. I think my sister got it for me. I could be wrong, but it says, "Don't be a quitter like my pancreas." For those of you who've forgotten, I am diabetic.
Diabetes.
And pithy.
If you
of
can't laugh
language-
at yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Of language or style, concise and forcefully expressive. Language or words that are brief but meaningful,
Okay,
like short, meaningful comments.
I see that now.
Particularly, someone who is pithy is particularly good with words in a way that uses few words and is clever.
Well, there you go. I've learned Larapin and pithy.
Nice. That's what we're all about. Teaching, education,
learning,
That's what it's here for.
experiencing.
My
But
shirt I'm rather proud of today, representing Sriracha.
Chiang Sriracha.
And what?
Yeah, there's a correct pronunciation that I say Sriracha because
I do too.
most of us Americans do, but there is a correct pronunciation I've heard before and unfortunately cannot remember. My apologies. But
What is on your shirt? I've been trying to figure that out.
It's a bear with
okay.
arrows shot in the back of it, and it's like
Okay.
roaring in either death or rising up in triumph or
Rage.
or rallying back against its hunters. I don't know. It makes me think of Brave,
It's a bear?
the movie.
All this time I thought it was a lion.
Oh, it's a bear.
Oh,
I wasn't
okay.
sure because your jacket was covering it, but it looks like the Death Star's in the background.
It does look like a Death Star.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what it was. Going back to, circling way back to talking about practice.
Oh, yeah.
You were talking about a different way of doing things. The other day I
Mhm.
was at the guitar store. Shout out once again to Cumberland Guitars. And Austin, who works in there, was watching me play the guitar, and he just goes, "That's interesting. I've never seen anyone do that way before." I said, "Yeah, you're not really supposed to do it this way." It's like the other day I told somebody, they were asking me to fix something, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to do this. You can watch me do this. Don't ever do it the way I'm about to do it. Do as I say, not as I do." I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to fix this, but please do not ever do it the way I'm doing
Right.
it. But yeah,
What were you doing? Fixing glasses?
I was fixing glasses.
Well, sometimes you got to do that. Fix your
I agree.
glasses. I'm hard on a pair of glasses.
Mm-hmm.
I can attest to that.
Yeah. So.
I've had to fix your glasses a time or two.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
We got to do what we got to do.
That's right. That's right.
Fix your own glasses. Take that however you will.
Yeah.
Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling.
Ooh. Here we go.
Amen.
We're getting spiritual now.
So I was thinking before that we started talking. Favorite movie scores.
Mm.
Ooh.
Mm.
Go ahead, gentlemen. Throw in.
This may be... oh, man. This may be cliche and said a million times over, but I mean, when that first big orchestral hit in the beginning of a Star Wars movie, I can't help but get chills.
Yeah.
Because even though I know the adventure I'm about to experience, that I've experienced many a times, when I hear that first note, I am like, I am ready to go to a galaxy far, far away.
We're just instantly there.
Yeah.
You know, it puts you there. For sure.
Which when, at this point, so many years later, from what, I think 1977 when the first movie came out to 2022 to the new Lego Star Wars game, which I've been playing a whole bunch, that has the orchestral music in it, I'm still like, you know you've done your job well whenever, no matter what, every time, no matter what, we're watching a movie, a TV show, or playing a video game, it hits you every time, and you get chills.
Yeah. I'm one with the Force. The Force is one with me. Yeah, I like the Star Wars score a lot. I think, man, it's a good one.
I got another one when you finish your
Go ahead.
Well, a more niche one, I guess you would say, is a very underrated Disney movie, Treasure Planet, from 2002. I believe that when the movie came out. Now, it has more of a Celtic feel to it within that, I don't know, I guess, that setting where the movie opens up in.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I love Celtic music. I love the feeling. I love the sound of it.
I do
I
too.
love all of it, basically. And so mixed with orchestral music makes one happy me.
Yeah. What do you think, Josh?
I have, oh my goodness. Part of my problem with picking a favorite is partially because I tell this to people a lot. I'm very hard pressed to find a style of music that I don't like anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like music is just, I don't know. Probably my favorite score of all time is from a movie that most of you probably won't have seen, but it's a movie called Sheffy. You've probably heard me reference it before. It's about a circuit riding preacher. It was made by Unusual Films, which was the filmmaking department of that's what they were called, and their logo is an angel holding a movie camera. But it's the filmmaking department of Bob Jones University in Greenville, South Carolina, and it was made back in the 70s. And essentially, the university produced it. They used their students to act in it. To their cinematography students to help do the work on it, and it took several years to do. But there was a music professor there who composed the music to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember his name, but anyway, he did the music for it. I believe his name was, let's see. I'm thinking his last name was like Gustafson. It's very, very unique name. Yes, Dwight Gustafson. And to this day, that is the only movie that I've actually bought the soundtrack to. Bought a physical CD copy of the soundtrack to, because it's really, really pretty. It's one of those, it's orchestral, but where the movie is about a circuit riding preacher, mainly throughout Virginia and surrounding areas. It kind of has a little bit of a backwoods feel to it, so there's a beautiful, beautiful lap dulcimer part of it. And it uses some hymns here and there, and that's where I first heard the song "Brethren, We Have Met to Worship," because it's a part of that score.
Yeah.
And there's some just really, really soaring moments with that. And, of course, it was done in the days where everybody was in the orchestra was in one room with a screen watching what was happening with the director, And so there's just that very visceral feel to it. So that's up there. Also, if anyone is familiar with the work of Max Steiner, he did the music for 1933 King Kong, and he did the music for another of my favorite films of all time, Sergeant York.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great one. But Max Steiner was made fun of in his day because he did a thing known as Mickey Mousing, which is where you take the movement that's happening on screen and then match something with it. One great example from King Kong is when they meet the natives on the island and you watch the footsteps of them, like the music is going doom, 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 doom. But it honestly puts like a sense of fear that if in another context it would be comedic, but the way he did it, just like in Sergeant York, the famous scene where they go over the top, they're in the Argonne Forest and they're coming up out of the trench to fight the battle, and as they move with each step, there's just like this haunting, just vroom, 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 vroom that happens. That's just puts you right there.
During my student teaching, I had to teach a lesson about Mickey Mousing to an arts and humanities class, and they were given a video with no audio in it, and they had to make up their own sound.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
So there was some. I don't remember much. I just remember there were some pretty interesting ones coming from middle schoolers.
That is neat.
Well, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. How about
That's
you?
a good practice.
Yeah.
Well, going along with your...
Or were you done yet?
I could go on for the entire rest of the podcast, so it's
Okay.
best to cut me off.
Well, we could keep delving into it, but to go along with your Sheffy reference. So, have either of you seen True Grit, the latest one? Jeff
No.
Bridges.
Not all the way through.
So, like, it's not my favorite score, but it stands out to me because I'm sure that there are more, but I've never really heard any other Hollywood film use gospel music in the background. In that one in particular, it's leaning on the everlasting arms. It's constantly through the movie, and like very, just kind of slowed down, but it's unmistakable.
Yeah.
And then of course in credits, a lady sings "Leaning on the Everlasting Arms," and it's just a beautiful Western feeling score.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, like, it's not a score-ish, but you can't deny, like, "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Oh,
That
yeah.
may be
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite.
Yeah.
That may be my favorite.
Like, like,
Classic.
maybe not like score-wise, like orchestra-wise,
Right.
but like soundtrack-wise with all the songs in there, like even for just a little bit popularizing the old hymns and old sounding country music to everyone, even
Oh, yeah.
ones that weren't a fan.
Yeah.
Every
They-
high school talent show had a couple of girls doing "When I Went Down to the River to Pray."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And while
Or
the
a group
boys-
of boys that
Man of Constant
Yeah.
Yeah.
with beards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stranger.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good that you differentiate though, because I just said that might be my favorite. So those songs technically weren't the score,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Soundtrack.
Yeah.
but good pull though.
Well, and you mentioned the new True Grit,
Mm-hmm.
which is the other name I almost mentioned is Elmer Bernstein, who did the music for the original True Grit, which is a fantastic Western theme as well. It's kind of what you think of when you think of Western,
Yeah.
But he also did the music for a lot of movies from like the 50s, 60s. I think he did the music for the Ten Commandments, if I'm not mistaken.
You made me think of another one. Now, I haven't seen the movie. I just know, like, the theme song, but have you all heard the Magnificent Seven
Yes.
theme?
Also Elmer Bernstein.
I've heard
Okay.
it, but I
Yep.
haven't. I can't remember it.
It makes you want to be a cowboy.
Yeah, that one is also Elmer Bernstein, and I'm thinking another of my favorite is either Elmer Bernstein or Max Steiner that I already mentioned. Is Gone with the Wind. It has a beautiful score. Let's see who did.
Caleb-
Oh, it's Max Steiner.
Kayla will appreciate you bringing that up.
So, yeah, and I think there's a few moments in Gone with the Wind where if anyone's taking the 6 hours out of their day to watch that entire movie, there's a little bit of Mickey Mousing here and there because that's just kind of Max Steiner's thing. But it's a very haunting score,
Yeah.
very melancholy.
Yeah.
So what about a soundtrack that...
Well, then I think I have to go back to "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" That's probably one of my favorites, if not my top of the top.
It's hard to beat. Also, feels like cheating to say this, but each new mixtape we get with
Guardians of the
with
Galaxy.
the Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
I mean, people... This is a different one, but people either feel like people hate it or they love it unconditionally, and I'm one of the ones that love it unconditionally, and that's the Tarzan soundtrack. Phil Collins did not have to go that hard, but he did, and he did it for us.
He did it for us.
Abby, every so often, will just talk about that music and how good it is. And she makes references, which she loves Phil Collins. I mean, I don't know anyone that doesn't, but she really loves Phil Collins.
The Hercules soundtrack is good.
Oh my goodness!
With the
The Hercules soundtrack's pretty good. The muses.
The muses, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I was like, the oracles, the muses.
The Hercules soundtrack could take you to church.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Honey, you mean Huncules?
Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm.
I'm all for a good praise break. You know that.
But I can go the distance. I'm telling you, man.
Featuring the vocals of Donny Osmond.
That is right.
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yeah. He didn't voice the character, but he
No.
did. He did all the singing.
He
for
also did
Hercules.
Make a Man Out of You in Mulan, right?
Maybe
I don't know.
he did. I think he's getting the check from Disney for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's got
Cut
to
the check.
cut the check. Yeah.
I have another question that I have. Next time I come on the podcast, I had an idea to ask, and I'm going to try to ask the question. Hopefully, you all will understand. But first, let me go back.
Okay.
Whenever, when I was in college, and I would drive to a marching band practice, I would pull up, and I'd be listening to probably Josh Turner, no doubt. And I'll walk out and be like, "Were you listening to country music?" I was like, yeah, I was. She was like, "For some reason, I thought you'd be listening to rock music." And it made me think, like, do you guys have a favorite album that people would not expect you to like? Let me go first.
Go.
So, I do like rock music. I go through metal phases where I'm a metalhead. You can probably tell by my drumming in some places. But
That double kick going.
Mm-hmm.
I know. But one of my favorite metal bands is Avenged Sevenfold, and probably their 2007 self-titled album is my favorite because that album really got me into drumming, and I have taken some like different fills in there in that album and put it into our songs. Like there's a little there's a little bit from one of those songs in I Can Depend on You. Like where I play like double cymbal bells.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
So
I like it. Yeah. Well, a lot of people, especially drummers, pull a lot of influences from things, but just because they're such technical. I mean, there's literally a genre of music called, as I understand it, mathcore or math metal.
Yeah.
Which is just taking. It's really hardest on the drummer because you're just taking really random time signatures and just forcing them to work, and it doesn't always sound like music.
I mean,
but it's
but
it's technically good.
Yeah.
As far as technical proficiency,
Yeah.
it's very good.
I don't know. So I don't know if my question makes sense. But people knowing us like playing gospel music, like, is there another album out there that you would think that people who listen to us didn't think you would listen to and thoroughly enjoy?
I like every song, I think. I'm trying to remember all of them all at once. I like every movement in The Phantom of the Opera. All of it.
That is a good one. I'm right
And
there with you.
this big burly guy likes opera.
Can confirm. We sat through, you and I had never seen Phantom of the Opera. We watched it together.
Yes.
You'd seen it. Abby had seen, everyone had seen it but me in the room, and I had a different opinion than everyone else on it.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm finally, I think you and I discussed this briefly. You and I agree on this one, I think, is that the Phantom is not the hero of the story. The Phantom is the villain. The Phantom is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's the point, is the Phantom is the bad guy. You're not supposed to root for the Phantom. He's the villain. He's a really bad guy.
He's just looking for love, people. He's just looking for love.
I was in the minority.
But in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
Hey, man, he's an anti-hero.
Yeah. Which is a villain.
A hero.
So are we Team Edward or Team...
Oh, gosh.
I would not know. I have to say, I would not know on that one. I like Robert Pattinson. He's cool.
Yes.
I'm Team Phantom.
Team Phantom.
Get Christine. Marry her. Did you know that there's a sequel to that?
Yeah, weren't we talking about this the other
I think
day?
I think we did talk
we
about
were.
this, didn't
Yeah.
I've heard it's no good though.
I
Or
did
you
hear
watched
that.
you watched it,
I heard
right?
that
No,
as
I've just heard like the synopsis of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like,
And
you maybe know more about it than I do.
no, not really. Well, I read it and I've forgotten most of it.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, it's not terribly compelling. It's kind of like, just leave, let the Phantom of the Opera be alone.
It just, from reading it and hearing about it, it just felt like Phantom of the Opera fan fiction.
Mm,
Yeah, it did feel that way, didn't it?
I get that.
Yeah.
I'm still left to answer, aren't I?
Oh, yeah, what...
Well, here's the thing. So much of what I listen to comes out in the influence that I take to the stage or to music creation or songwriting, that I think a lot of things I can name, people will be like, oh, yeah, I hear that in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's no secret that the compositional stylings of Paul McCartney are a huge, huge influence, or you know, the entire 60s and 70s catalog of music. So there's... I'm trying to think of something that is out there enough that people would be surprised. I don't know what's far out enough.
No, I have one that's far out for me.
Yeah.
Mongolian Metal.
Oh, yeah, you showed us
shared
that one
with
time.
us. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. It was
It's
was interesting.
it's Mongolian throat singing with
which is impressive on its own.
Yeah,
Mhm.
with a metal groove, I guess, in the back.
Yeah. I remember that.
And funny enough, they're called The Who, but H-U, not W-H.
Yeah. I think I know what people would be surprised. Maybe not by my singing, because I feel sometimes things I do there give it away a little bit. But because of our style, where everything is, you know, kind of guitar, piano, drum, but, you know, it's the classic,
Mhm.
that kind of vibe. Enormous fan of big band.
Ooh, yeah.
The crooners, old and new. Everyone from, you know, obviously Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby and Dean Martin, to those of today like Michael Bublé and Harry Connick Jr. And, there's just something about it. And I think it's because specifically that musical style, I think what I'm so fascinated by is I don't have the music theory knowledge to dissect it. So most things I listen to, I'm going, oh no, they're doing this here, and they're doing this here, and I would have done this way. But when it comes to really jazz in general, I don't have the theory to go, oh, they're doing this and this, so I'm able to enjoy it as a whole
Yeah.
without. I can take the whole thing and not dissect it, because I don't understand what's going on, but I like it.
Which the music theory to dissect in big band is insane.
Oh yeah,
From taking 4 courses of music theory in college, I could barely understand past music theory too. So
That made me think of you saying that. We had a teacher in high school. His name was Jim Bean, like you put in the ground, bean. And
thank you for clarifying.
yeah,
It was his name.
yeah.
It was his name.
That was his name.
That was his name.
So he taught modern American music, and I think he was in, maybe I might be misremembering, but I feel like that he was in the midst of getting his master's, and he had to dissect this Beethoven piece or something like that, maybe, and it looked just stupid complicated, you know, just like it boggled my mind when he showed us the sheet for it. I was like, I'd have to fail. Did you have to do anything like that?
Yeah. Like, the correct term is harmonic analysis. And later on, we would have to, like, in our, like, textbook, there was, like, a couple phrases of music, and we had to, on the bottom, say, okay, that's a 1 chord, that's like a 4/6/4 chord, that's a secondary dominant chord, and all that stuff.
Wow.
Now, I don't remember if we had to do big pieces. We might have to, like, later on. But, yeah, you're right. When you get your master's and you're studying, like, theory and comp and everything, then you study the big boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It just, man, I'm like you. It boggles my mind to listen to that. And I think to myself, you know, they're, in a lot of ways, it seems to me that they're conveying some sort of story in music or some sort of journey. They're taking you on a trail, and the trail has a beginning and the end, and all that stuff in the middle is just the twists and turns and what have you. It is mind-boggling to think that somebody thinks of this and puts it all together for different parts, goes different directions. It's incredible.
I've discovered, as of recent, like maybe the past
I'll
2 or
have to
3
excuse
years.
myself, by the way.
Please.
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
Hey, could you check to see if the phone's still on?
Yes, it is.
Okay. But I've discovered in the past couple years, really, like, since joining you all, like watching you guys fiddle around with chords and everything, the best way to understand music theory is to fiddle around with chords yourself. At least for me, like, there's different learners out there. There's visual learning. There's, I can't remember the other ones right now. But
There's
people
like
learn
visual,
differently.
tactile, auditory.
Yeah. But, like, the best way for me is, like, fiddle around on the piano. Like, what would happen if we threw in this note, took away this note, don't play the butter notes, as jazz people call it. So.
Yeah. And I have found myself becoming a better musician as a part of a band. Because not only are we learning from each other, but if we're working on an arrangement, if something is for the good of the song, somebody will say, "Hey, Josh, you need to do this on the guitar," and I'll go, "I don't know how to do that."
Turn to the Home Alone.
Exactly, and I think I don't know how to do that.
Sorry, headphone warning.
But if there's just something about being forced to do, like, oh, the song needs this, I have to do this.
Yeah.
That makes it just that much easier to grasp. That when you go back to it time and time again, and also having the support of the musicians behind you, so you're not just carrying this thing. Sometimes you get frustrated if you're practicing alone and it's just you, and you're just going, nope.
Yeah.
But when you have other musicians and it's not all on one person, you're all kind of in it together. And then when you're doing things for the good of the song, you're just kind of forced to do it the right way. I don't know any other way to put it.
No, I understand.
You have to. It's do or die, now or never. You know.
It's the same way, well, with any instrument, and even with drumming. You know, because, and you know, I've said this before, and I'll probably say it a million times over, you know, drumming or drums in general is, you know, such a crucial part of a band, whereas a lot of people, you know, especially think like it's just there to make noise.
Right.
To a lot of people, not everybody, but there's some people that understand, like, with the drums, like, you have to set a certain style, you have to set a feel, you know, because if you're playing a very mellow song and I'm over there double kicks and going
Right.
ham, like, none of that fits in there. And that, like I said, that's just with every other instrument. I was really taught in college with the different groups of men, learning how to blend and everything, especially with the drums, like just different things, like throwing in like little cymbal things every now and again. You know what I'm trying to say?
What I call the chimey stuff.
The chimey stuff.
Well, and really that's the difference, in my opinion, in layman's terms, the difference between being a drummer
Mm-hmm.
and being a percussionist.
Yes.
Because you have experience in both worlds, and they collide with each other because
Right.
they you know, drums are percussion,
Mm-hmm.
but not all percussion is drums. Would that be fair to say?
That would be fair to say. I agree.
And I think that may be some of the difference between being a beat keeper and being a part of the arrangement.
Yes. Agreed.
And some things
There's
that
a
I
big
have,
difference between the two.
yeah. And the things that I have learned in the past few years about feel, just in music in general, feel and groove, the difference that one song with the same BPM, the exact same, you know, let's say it's 120 BPM in 4/4. Very common. The difference in feel playing that same song behind the beat, kind of more laid back behind the beat, or on top of the beat, like lined up with the grid, you know. Or if some people say rushing is a bad thing, but sometimes for the sake of the song, there's a bit of, you know, there's that push and pull that happens
Yeah.
within music. And
Makes it more real.
yeah,
more
exactly.
earthy.
Exactly. Good word.
Thank you.
Earthy.
I have words too.
Earthy. Yeah.
I actually heard that from Dave Grohl's from the Foo Fighters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because he talked about liking songs and music where it kind of, you know, it has an ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Because we've done things both ways. We've, you know, we've played to a click. We've played without a click. And it works in some situations and not so much in others, because you have to know your objective.
Yeah.
You have to have your end objective in mind, and the, you know, whatever's best for the arrangement of that song. Well, how long have we been going at this? Let's see. Let's find out here. Yeah. We've not been at it an hour yet, but I mean, pretty close to it.
Yeah. But I was just thinking about, you know, the drums, you know, just thought about, especially like the past year or so, especially listening now to a bunch of different drummers and just drummers that, you know, I feel add a lot to the band, and just even like taking a sound away, adding it in, how that can make a difference, especially like in building up to something. You know, just thinking about how little that added, or how little that was to normal ear. I get to normal ears, I guess, that you took away, but
Exactly.
but adding so much to what is going on, and you can do that with any instrument. That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying is like fiddling around with those chords and everything, and drum sounds.
I think Jesus said it best when he said, "A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump."
Amen. Amen. It's been a very music-heavy podcast.
It has.
I'm all about it, though.
All for it. Well, I know, and I think it's interesting that there's a shared musician or a shared language among musicians, and I'm not just talking about the language of music theory, but the language of music when you play, that you can just pick something out, and because there have been two separate drummers that Josh have referenced to Seth, going, "Oh, they play kind of like you play," or they do some fills that remind, and peripherally you are aware, but like they weren't people that you would call influences.
Yeah.
And yet there were these similarities there because of that kind of shared language of music that happens as,
I mean, even Dave Grohl's in that same interview I referenced to earlier was talking about, of course, a lot of it's talking about drumming, being the drummer of Nirvana back when, and talking about like how the best drummers have a like you can hear this certain beat and be like, oh, that's such and such. You can hear you can hear from other things like, oh, that's such and such. That's what makes a great drummer, where you can pinpoint who they are by just hearing their style of playing.
Everybody knows it's Ringo when Ringo is playing.
Yeah, that's.
Like,
I think that's
yeah.
who he said. And what was I gonna say? Oh, and like you referencing me to John Mayer's drummer, to Billy Joel's drummer.
Yeah.
They make like I appreciate it. It makes me want to work harder on like I don't know if anyone's gonna listen to our music years from now and be like, oh, I know who that is.
Right.
But I mean, imitation is the best form of flattery, I guess.
That's what they tell me.
So
good musicians borrow, great musicians steal.
Take that to sleep with you tonight.
That's what I'm told. Well, reminder, album of the week, Big and Live by the Mighty Kingsmen Quartet, as they were referred to in time past, The Ton of Fun. This album released on Canaan Records, which you see a lot from this time, coming from Canaan Records. But a good thing to check out, some early live recordings of gospel music. Again, like us on Facebook. Give us a follow on Instagram. Give us a follow on the old TikTok.
I'm trying to post more.
Exactly. And of course,
they don't get much views, but I mean, one view is better than none.
That's right. And of course, you're watching this on the YouTube channel. You know what? You've been on YouTube before. They've been on YouTube before. They know how this works. You hit the subscribe button, and there's a little bell, and you hit that, and you get notified every time we make a new video. That way you don't have to go, I wonder if Cumberland Thunder's got a new video out. That way it's getting late. I'm getting slap happy.
Hey, it's fine. And since we are now about to start hitting the road
That's right.
more often, that means more vlogs are coming, right?
More vlogs coming.
So
I think this will be, you know what? I've been thinking about the vlog, the Thunder's Rolling tour vlogs, and which kind of really started sort of into 2019, but mostly kind of the very few limited dates in 2020 and then 2021. I think I'm going to call that season 1.
Season 1.
I think that's season 1. And we've had kind of this extended time
Out
off.
now on Blu-ray.
Exactly. We've kind of had this extended time off. We had the one event at the end of December, but pretty much since November, we've not been doing anything on the road. And it is now April. And so I think we can call this Thunder's Rollin' Season 2. and I'm going to try to make it better than ever.
It's going to be. Ain't no trying about it. It's going to be.
And it will be better than ever if you come to these concerts.
Mm-hmm.
You know where they can find the concerts?
Where?
CumberlandThunder.com.
Well.
There's a little tab that says tour. You click on that, and that shows all the places we're going to be. A few churches we're going to be at, some festivals. We're going to do several theater shows this year. Those are ticketed events, and as those links become available for you to buy tickets, then we'll make sure to keep those posted and updated, as well as sharing those on the Facebook page. Keep up with the exclusive content that we put here. Sometimes there's things that go on Instagram that don't go anywhere else. There's definitely things that go on TikTok that don't go on any of the other socials. So you got to follow everywhere if you don't want to miss any.
Whether that's for the better or for the worse, I don't know. That's for you to find out.
That's right. And as always, we got music on Spotify, Apple Music, and even songs that we've released exclusively here on YouTube.
Yes.
So check those out as well.
And we are working on new songs for the set list for this year.
That's right. We've been practicing some stuff up. Some originals, some old classics of years gone by that people haven't heard in a while.
But we gave it the old Cumberland Thunder treatment.
That's right. The Cumberland Thunder treatment with the old college try. So until the next time, thank you for watching the Cumberland Thunder podcast. Again, like, subscribe, share, let everybody know that you like it. Leave a comment. Let us know where you're watching from, what your favorite thing was. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about next.
Let us know your favorite movie score or soundtrack.
Yes.
Because we love for you guys to get to know us, and we love to get to know you.
I say a lot of times in concerts, we want to be your friend. The first thing you got to do with a friend, you got to get to know their name.
Oh, yeah?
So then I introduce the band, and I tell everybody in the concert, hope you come up afterwards and we get to learn what your name is. Now, truth be told, I'm bad with names. Who are you? I might forget your name, but you keep coming back and telling me enough, I'll remember. And when you show up on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all that, and you're commenting and you're liking, you get that little top fan badge. I start picking out, I know this person, I know that person, I know who they are. Their name starts to sound a little familiar. Yeah, so let's be friends. How about it? So long.